cases recently where that bow just doesn't turn up where it should. So I'm going to go with that. We got a piece of heart starting in Link's house, and both runners in sync. I expect they're going to head to the castle and go for a tree pull right at the start.
Yeah, it looks like they are both going straight to the castle, and I was going to say the bow too, so I'll have to pick something else. I'll say the medallion for one of the dungeons is going to be hard to find.
Oh, you're allowed to pick the same.
I'll be different. So let's see. They are both doing the tree pull. Hearts on the tree pull today. We're going to ignore the guard throwing bombs from up there. And we're on the way to see what Uncle has as his item today. Not guaranteed to be a weapon in this mode. But it is a weapon. 3 bombs.
3 bombs is not enough necessarily to go far into escape. I'd be very surprised if the runners do that here. But boy, is that incredible piece of... 6 bombs. He's an incredible piece of mind for that first check of Kakariko. That's an incredible thing to find at the start.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see them head straight to Kakariko and start cleaning that out, because they have enough bombs rather, to do all the exploding that they need to do to clear that out, to check Mini Moldorm Cave, to check Ice Rod Cave. All of that is taken care of now. And we got a quick map check. I saw a pendant down in Desert Palace and a crystal in Eastern Palace. I did not catch what was on Tower of Hera quickly enough, unfortunately.
Up at the Tower of Hera was the green pendant for the Sahasrahla turn-in. You know, as a spot to have the green pendant, I'm kind of okay with that. It's usually an earlier dungeon you can beat. Doesn't take too much time, so it's not too far out of the way. I'd much rather have a pendant there than, say, Thieves' Town.
I agree with that. We are getting a quick check of the Lumberjack. This, I think is always a great play to make. We're finding out that there's just some rupees, it looks like, on the Lumberjack. Arrows in the Lost Woods in the mushroom spot. And what is ZzCube going to find down here in the hole? Oh, a sword is resting down here. Very nice.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little disappointed when I see a sword right at the start, because it means that everything's just a bit straightforward for the runners. They don't have to improvise weapons. They don't have to deal with hammer hitboxes. They just have things come easily. On the other hand, it really opens up dark room navigation. So I always get excited for dark rooms. That's something I'm a huge fan of. Maybe we'll see some of that now that we have a sword.
And I personally like to see swords showing up not necessarily very late. I've seen some swords as late as an hour, hour and a half into a seed. And those are just painful to watch even as a viewer. But like, give him 15, 20 minutes without a sword. Let him figure out what to do. I agree with you. It's nicer to see the swords. ZzCube goes straight to the back of Blind's Hut before checking the other chest, by the way. Finds a piece of heart back there. But one more note about the sword is that's part of our Aghanim recipe. A couple swords and or a cape. And the lamp, that's a moon pearl, by the way. And that would open up Aghanim.
Yeah. Oh, look at that, though. Nice early boots for these runners. Did ZzCube just skip the back of this hut here?
No, he did that first. It was a piece of heart.
He did that first. Okay. He almost gave me a heart attack with how quickly he dashed out of that room.
Yeah, it is easy to think that you got that without actually getting that. It's scary how easy that can be. As we're in the well, we find a full heart container down there. And what is in the back of the well? We have just a big 20. There are 3 more chests out here. There may or may not be more progression out here. We have 50 bucks. We have a big 20. And we have another piece of heart.
Well, this is a really generous start we're seeing. Not only the boots and the sword, so that basic movement speeds up a lot, but that much money. Ooh. Oh my goodness. That much money and a flute at the start means things like getting bombs, getting the bottle vendor money just aren't a concern for these runners. They get kind of an easy go at the start, which really, I think, lets them exercise their routing muscles, interestingly. They really now are going to have to route creatively and effectively here.
And the fact that that flute came from the bottle vendor, that's literally like the picture-perfect place to get it, because it's like, here, I'll give you transportation. Go activate it right next door. So that's literally the best place you'd expect to find the flute for unlocking the duck. As we get a chicken clip from ZzCube, didn't go all the way through. We do find 10 arrows back there, and I think Ultyma is probably going to go there next. And now we're going to be off to this. We don't have a ball yet, so we can't check Stick Kid. We're going to go straight to the back of the tavern. And the chest in the back of the tavern is a big 20. So Stick Kid will be figured out later.
So, of course, with early boots, we can actually do that library check right at the start, grabbing the item instead of just peeking our head in. And for a piece of heart, ZzCube is not interested.
I think Ultyma will probably say the same thing. ZzCube is making the check of the race game prior to playing it. You can choose to play the game before actually, and actually just go straight in to get the item, and then just save and quit if you don't want it. But different players will choose different things, whatever they feel is better for them. The risk of checking it ahead of time is that you may realize it's something good and you lose time having to go back to get it. In this case, it was just 50 rupees, though, and it was a good, right play by ZzCube, as it turns out.
Yes, both heading down to the South Shore, not checking the Bong Crux just yet, which makes a fair amount of sense. You want to do that right after save and quit if you can. And there's a Power Glove, so we are getting very close to Dark World access.
And we had the bottle in the moat as well, so that's going to route in the Sick Kid eventually as well. Okay, Ultyma is going to head out. He's going to find his bottle. ZzCube is heading toward Mini Moldrum Cave. Now, you may ask, chat, why do we call it Mini Moldrum Cave? Take a look. You can see there's a bunch of Mini Moldrums in here. That's why it's Mini Moldrum Cave.
I was going to say I don't see any, but I thought ZzCube would clean them up faster. I don't see any Mini Moldrums anymore.
Yeah, they were there. They're not there anymore. As we have a full heart container, we have some bombs, we have a big 20, and 2 more items are 50 rupees and 300 rupees. Well, we got Zora money, but we're almost close to Zora money. Let me see where it ends. Nope, not quite. 462. So we're getting close to that.
We are really nicely close, especially with the Power Glove here. You know, there's 20 rupees under a rock here, up by Ice Rod Cave. You dip that twice, you're at 500 rupees. Plus the Moon Pearl and the boots, you can do some serious water walk action if you want, and clear out that whole Zora area.
Yep, and I know a lot of runners will fake flippers to this location. Very, very easy trick to do. It takes maybe a couple tries to get the pattern for how to do it, but once you know how to do that, it's a very, very easy trick to do, and fake flippers will let you check the hobo. There's a way to glitch out of that as well with the fake flippers. If you wanted to do that, and that would be if you didn't have the Moon Pearl, of course, all of this, and you'd be able to warp up to Zora and check it that way as well. We have the Hammer and Ice Rod Caves. ZzCube's about to get that as well.
Well, there's Dark World access, but the way ZzCube was farming rupees there, I think he's probably headed to the Zora area. And look at this setup for a water walk here. When you see a runner dash along the edge of the hole like that, it's because they're setting up a water walk. Ultyma's just going for the regular fake flippers, opting not to do the fast running or pick up the item on Zora Ledge. We'll see which way this plays out for either of them.
Ultyma is going straight to, looks like the Hobo area. We did not get to see the island yet. Let's see if ZzCube will give us a look at the hilly island. Nope, it's going the same way that Ultyma did. We may get another.
I like the way ZzCube set up the fake flippers there. We saw Ultyma go back and forth a few times trying to line up right on the edge of the screen. If you just drop a bomb, let it explode, and knock you right into the barrier of the screen, you'll be right at the edge, so you can safely fake flipper immediately. But look what these guys are getting from the Hobo.
Yeah, that is a very, very interesting item to receive. The Master Sword from the Hobo. What is the Hobo doing with the Master Sword? I guess we'll never know. And I didn't see what was on the island there.
That looked like a small shield.
I don't think we're going to be worrying about that today. So we're heading to the Zora area right now, heading north into the Waterfall Cave. This is an area because ZzCube is water walking. He can just go straight in. Ultimately, we'll have to leave and come back in order to return to a to get into a walking state to be able to check that. And that will lose him a little bit of time over the water walk that ZzCube is doing. we do have a rupee and just a piece of heart in there as well. So not very much worth in there either.
Yeah, now, Ultyma's only at 450 rupees, whereas ZzCube farmed all the way up to 500. So one of these guys gets to do the Zora check right now. Even if this doesn't end up being a big thing for ZzCube, at least it's somewhere he's checked.
And so, $500 today buys bombs.
3 bombs, that's not great, but at least he can mark that whole area off. You know, that's one of those spots, as the run goes on, it could start nagging away at Ultima's mind. If he has to do a bunch of overworld checks, that could come in and eat up some time for him.
Ultimately going into the Bonk Rocks location, so we're going to get to see what that is right now. One of those today is a piece of heart. ZzCube is dropping into the tomb there, which leads to the back of Hyrule Castle. And the boots let you save a bomb on this hole, which is very nice. You don't have to look for the bomb or drop a bomb and wait for it. 5 rupees, a Kana Burna, and another 5 rupees. Kana Burna flanked by 5 rupees on each side, just a nice blue area.
I was really hoping for a key to show up in there so that we could see these runners head through the back of Escape to that sewers chest, but well, I'm sure we'll see them do it from the front end soon enough.
Yeah, most likely it will be in the front end. And I know that... okay, I'm just taking a look and see what ZzCube is doing the Bonk Rocks. Ultyma is back in the Sanctuary. And the key can be anywhere in that front half as well. And the item in the dark would be considered a sequence break at this time because they don't have the lamp yet. So the lamp would be technically part of the logic if there were to be something really important in that room as well.
That's right. Now we see a very slight divergence here. Ultyma fluting up the mountain, whereas ZzCube says, hang on, I've got these boots. Let me rule out, egging him, let me rule out Lumberjack Cave right now.
And he has done exactly that. He sees the 20 rupees and he leaves. Ultyma is heading into one of the dark rooms here. I think this was the old man cave that he went into. It looks like he's sequence breaking Death Mountain.
That's right. Now, I want to draw attention to what ZzCube did there when he landed at Link's house. He picked up the middle rock of the 3 in front of the house, which you'll see runners do sometimes. And it looks like it doesn't really do anything. But there's a 50-50 chance there's a bomb under that rock. And if you farm that enough times throughout the race, you end up with a couple extra bombs that can really make the difference. More importantly, though, we just saw a map check. I think that was red crystals at Skull Woods and Thieves Town.
Correct. And the pendant was at Misery Mire, as we're getting a hype cave check today. Right now, let's see what the 5 items inside here today are. Oh, that's a good start. That's a bow. What else is back here? We have a big 20. We have bombos. We have 10 arrows and a full heart container. So a couple of very nice items there. I would say that's a very highly rated hype cave today.
I'm actually going to call that hype because we got the bow. And that means Pod is completely clearable. That means Eastern's completely clearable. I know we don't have the lamp to put them in logic. I don't think these runners care.
Correct. Many of the runners in this tournament are very good with the dark rooms. Some of them may be a little trickier than others, but many runners have no problem doing them in the dark. And we're getting a hint check just some cash above the pose. But because the runners don't mind the dark rooms being in there, the only reason that the dark rooms, finding an item in the dark room will basically give access to some logic, knowing that the lamp is required to get this item. And this item is located somewhere in this kind of area. But many runners are not going to be worried about the lamp. You will often see runners finish the seed without even bothering to pick up the lamp.
Yeah, certainly there's a possibility of that happening in this seed here. I'm also a huge fan of that hint that ZzCube just got. Being able to rule out the graveyard ledge is, you know, just a nice time save. And it means that as soon as he gets mitts, he can go and do King's Tomb without worrying about orphaning the graveyard ledge. Some of these checks he's doing are just eliminating nuisances later in the run, which I think, if it ends up being a bit of a hunt, has huge value.
It looks like his last checks have not been very financially minded because he's now doing the shooting game. He misses one of the shots. The way this works is getting successive hits get you 4, 8, 16, 32, and 64 rupees. In this case, he only made, looks like 3 shots, and it was a sequence of 1 and 2, so only got 16 rupees back for a 20 rupee cost. He's going to give another try and try to get those 5 targets.
This is a play we're seeing more and more as inverted mode gets played, because it's great for early game rupees, but you know, it works here if you need the money for stuff like digging too. And nice sequence there.
Yeah, he is definitely going to be doing digging game. That's the reason he got the money, because he's in the area. He doesn't want to leave that behind. He wants to make sure he gets it. So that was the exact reason why he was doing the shooting gallery game, I guess is what it's called. Let's see what is in the back of the digging area today, as Ultyma finds the ice rod in the first chest in Thieves Town.
Oh, that's nice. I'm just so happy they don't have to worry about that.
Actually, that was the second chest. My apologies. We're going to the other area now. 25. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll forgive you getting the chest count wrong, because we got the ice rod. I'm happy.
And we have 25 digs for a piece of heart today. And there is the tempered sword.
Oh, come on, game.
I like to call it the bacon blade. So we have, and the reason I call it the bacon blade is because by the logic, that's what you need to defeat Ganon. It is possible to do it with a master sword, even without silver arrows, but it is naturally harder and longer fight.
All right, so ZzCube looks like he's going to do Sahasrahla check and probably dip into Eastern from here, knowing that he can fully clear it out. I'm looking at Tempered, Ice Rod, Bow, Dark World Access, 16.5 minutes into the game. This is pretty great so far for these runners. This is the kind of seed, I'm not going to lie, I wish I had in my races. Yeah. Nice setup on the God Pixel from Ultyma there. Patrick Star knocks him off, but you know, he lined it up properly, which is half the battle at least.
And Ultyma is about to head upstairs in Thieves Town. There is another hint up here. As the other hint tile showed you earlier, every hint tile, every arrow pointing up is actually a hint in this game. And actually, did he check that hint and I missed it?
No, I think he's going to check it on his way out.
Maybe he is. Most runners check it first to get out of the way so they don't forget. But yeah, maybe he is going to be checking on the way out.
He does have to be careful here. He's down to 1 heart. So a single hit from any of these creeping grasshoppers will take him out here.
And ZzCube heads into Eastern Palace. As you noted earlier with the bow, it is fully clearable. Of course, they don't have the lamp, so logically it isn't, but in reality it is clearable. We have a map in the first chest there today.
And it looks like Ultima's just going to skip that hint tile entirely. Reasonable play. I know he's not a huge fan of the hint system in general, so if he doesn't want to play into it, that is his prerogative. Might come back to hurt him a bit, but you know, at this rate, if items keep dropping in front of these runners, it's not going to matter.
That might be the gamble he's making as well. It's there's the big key for Eastern Palace. So because they have such a good start, he's probably not interested in the hints that much. Plus, a lot of the hints in the game tend to be very, very, let's just say, not that helpful. So that may be a reason he's not a fan of that system, if that is indeed the case. And we are getting to check the hammer chest already in Thieves Town because we have that hammer as well.
I mean, you could call the hints not very helpful.
That is a vanilla Titan's Mitt.
That's incredible.
My gosh. And a red boomerang in Eastern Palace in the third chest.
Oh my goodness. The early power.
Yeah, they just got, ZzCube just got a hint about the boots he's already wearing. Thanks, game. And what is Blind going to say to us today? As the maiden says, a weeknight is a tiny nobleman.
Ooh, Ultyma accidentally released a spin there, which hurts in the blind fight, unfortunately, because it means blind moves before you can get another attack in. But he makes it through that phase 3. It was a bit close there. Nicely done and rewarded with blue mail. And his first crystal less than 20 minutes in.
And that's pretty good for an open seed. And like some of the seeds, the way they are set up, it's sometimes can be hard to get a crystal. I've seen seeds easily where the first crystal is an hour into the seed, and it's really nice to be able to get that first crystal out of the way, be able to get some progression right away. And they can go straight to, he can actually follow these straight to Eastern Palace, where he ZzCube just got a full heart container in the big key chest. Or he can also go to Palace of Darkness.
You know, I expect he's going to take the path down to Hype Cave, expecting to save and quit out of there. And when he finds that bow, he may change his plans immediately. He might just see that and go, all right, we can do pod.
And I did not catch that he had not done Hype Cave yet. My mistake there. Once he does get that bow, I agree, he's going to probably head straight to Palace of Darkness because he does not have the mirror. But he may choose to save and quit and go to Eastern Palace as well. We will see what he decides to do, as he does a digging game right now, routing over to Hype Cave, I believe, from there. He'll find the 25 dig piece of heart eventually. ZzCube is in the top half of Eastern Palace, got past the Dark Room on the way to the Armos Knights, and we'll be seeing them in just a moment. Doesn't even give it the honor of being picked up. Just leaves it there.
All right, nice work in the back of Eastern for ZzCube.
Okay, Ultyma just made a liar out of me. He grabbed the frog and is taking him for a world tour. Maybe he's taking the frog to Hype Cave today.
Yeah, so the conventional play here is you take the frog, go all the way to Hype Cave, save and quit from there.
Oh, silver arrows.
Silvers for beating Armos Knights. Boy, that would come in handy for the fight.
It would have made the fight just a little bit easier. Not that much of a time save, but still a little bit of a time save if you had those.
But, you know, the question for Ultyma is, if he gets the bow, does he still save and quit out of here with the Smith to turn that in? Or does he just walk over to the pod area, and as soon as he enters the pod screen, the Smith will disappear? That's actually a way you can get rid of the Smith and continue on to the next dungeon.
He is doing Hype Cave right now, and he is getting that bow. So yeah, let's see what he does. And the reason that the Smith does disappear, by the way, is because Kiki the Monkey is found inside that screen, and it wouldn't be possible to get Kiki the Monkey to follow you with the dwarf following you. So that's the reason why that the dwarf is removed, because Kiki cannot leave that screen, and no one else can enter that screen.
That's right. So we do see Ultyma going to turn in that Smith here. If this turns out to be a progression item, it could give him a pretty substantial lead. I'm just thinking, you know, ZzCube has so much available to him. Could be a while before he decides, okay, I want to waste time on the Smith.
Yeah, he's giving him a world tour right now into the graveyard. Or no, that's the King's Tomb, sorry. In the King's Tomb, there's the lamp.
But I wanted to see dark rooms from both runners today.
Well, one will have to do today, unfortunately. So at least Ultima will have a slightly easier time with his dark rooms. That should give him just a little bit of a time advantage on that, I would say, for doing those dark rooms today.
Now, unfortunately, ZzCube's doing Palace of Darkness without the mirror here, which makes all the routing slightly obnoxious, as you have to walk back through the dungeon.
And with the amount of health he has, doing a Death Warp also seems like it would be somewhat inconvenient as well, because he would have to... Oh my goodness, the Cane of Samaria on the dwarfs. This is just turning into a free seed today, in a way. They've already got a lot of great progression items. The Cane of Samaria will obviously allow them to get into Turtle Rock once they have the correct medallion, that is. We don't have the Fire Rod to be able to full clear Turtle Rock yet, so they won't do that yet for that reason, obviously, even when they get the medallion. But we're finding a lot of great progression items already today.
Yeah, and you know, I'm a bit suspicious about this flute that the runners have. Both Desert and Mire are pendants, so it's not required to get any crystals, which does make me wonder about this Mire Shed play. Just a shield and a bug net, though, so nothing too critical. Although, interestingly, Bombos did let us in to Misery Mire, which Ultima's opting not to do.
Another hint there from ZzCube, some arrows is in Mimic Cave, so we will not see him doing the Mimic Cave check today to collect those arrows. Now, in case anyone is not sure what Mimic Cave is, it is something that is connected to Turtle Rock. When you're making your way through Turtle Rock, you eventually come outside at one point. You would cross a very narrow ledge, enter another door. You can actually mirror on that in front of that second door. That would be where the entrance to Mimic Cave is located. The reason is because there's several mimics who are actually in the game called Gorias located inside. Killing them gets you an item in the back, but we now know the item in the back of that cave is a bunch of arrows, and they're not going to need that today.
And ZzCube cleared out the right side of Palace of Darkness. Hasn't found anything too interesting yet. No progression items, no big key. But we're going to see him tackle the back of the dungeon here. I'm really hoping the big key shows up soon so that he can pull off some strats and not find himself stuck in the dark maze too badly.
He does have one key left, so he's going to find probably one or two more in this area here. There's one right there, actually. And he will be doing this in the dark, so it is possible, as Ultyma enters Eastern Palace, it is possible we may not see what the items are, depending what they are. Let's see what we can find out here as he gets to the first chest. That one, we do see that there is a piece of heart. He's going to make his way over now to the second chest, which is right around here. I did not see what that was, and I didn't get a quick hint from there either.
That may have been the big key right there.
It may have been, yeah.
So that's good. He can take that big key and do a hammer jump right now.
It was the big key. I see it on the menu.
But he's not going to go that way, unfortunately. He's going to do this maze directly through in the dark and probably set up for a death warp at the end of it.
Makes sense to me.
It's worth noting, we did see him skip that harmless hellway room right south of the turtles. He has done his counting, he's done his math, he knows that room is just holding a small key.
Hook shot! Hook shot.
So he's going to skip that small key and grab a useful hook shot instead.
I can approve of that play.
That's potentially a bit of a red herring for him. That could unfortunately lead him over to Death Mountain and the east side there. And if he ends up doing that right now, he's only going to be able to do it in the light world. Whereas when Ultyma makes it to that path, he can do the full dark world check, including potentially Turtle Rock. So finding the hookshot early here hopefully doesn't lead him too far astray.
ZzCube is, as you predicted, setting up a death warp by expending all of his bombs.
Oh no, he picked up.
Oh no! Oh, that's not good. A good pickup at all for him.
Yeah, he released that fairies. That was some heads-up play. He did not want to have that fairy revive him, and then it just wandered back into his way. So he's going to navigate his way backwards out of this maze now.
And this is a bit of a time loss because clearly he wants to not have to deal with this maze again in the dark. So he's going to have to work his way back. And at this point, he might as well just go through the harmless hallway and get that key and go through that way to go down. But he just decided to save and quit instead. Easier than finding his way back.
There's a certain point in that maze where you kind of go, okay, I think I'm lost. I've gotten stuck on an edge somewhere. I can't actually find my way out. There's no Kadongos around to slowly defeat me by throwing fire. The fastest way out of here is just to save and quit. And maybe he goes back to that dungeon if he stumbles upon the lamp with the fire rod, but for now it's not worth the time to mess around.
ZzCube is doing Death Mountain, as you suggested. We know there's not a lot on Death Mountain today. I think we saw a lot of health and a lot of other unfortunate items here. Ultimately, he's making his way to the Armos Knights. He's in the upper area above the Dark Room. And it won't be long until he takes out the Armos Knights with 18 arrows or so, and finds that they were holding the silver arrows to prevent them from being easily defeated, very conveniently.
So Ultyma takes down Armos very quickly, of course. One of the easier boss fights in the game, well handled, and less than half an hour in, he's at 2 crystals already, soon to be a third. You know, I'm looking at what these runners have picked up between them. There's not a lot left still required. We're going to need the fire rod, the flippers, and the mirror.
By the way, ZzCube is checking the hint tile that Ultyma did not pick up, gets the bombs in front to find out that he is the hero of Hyrule. Thank you for that useful hint.
Well, that's good for him. I'm happy for him that he gets to be the hero of Hyrule.
Mm-hmm. Ultyma is heading his way over to Palace of Darkness. Just use the portal south of Eastern Palace. Takes you right over to the Dark World, and he's going to go look for Kiki the monkey in the maze. Kiki will take 10 rupees out of your pocket like a thief and just follow you around. If you take any damage, Kiki runs back into the bush area where Ultyma just emerged from, and you have to repeat this process. So if you make it to Palace of Darkness with 100 rupees still in your possession, Kiki hops up and opens the door for you. He had lots of money for that, still 1,000 rupees in his pocket for the Zora check later as well.
All right, ZzCube is in Paradox Cave, 7 chests available, including the mirror.
That might have been a little more useful over in the Palace of Darkness area. Do both at the same time. So Ultyma did not come over to this location. ZzCube is going to find 5 more items up here in Paradox Cave. Besides,
of course, we can't get the mirror without the hookshot from Palace of Darkness. That's obnoxious right there.
Yeah, that is very obnoxious. I completely agree.
And mostly junk in the rest of Paradox Cave, which is probably good for ZzCube. You know, my big worry here is that we need Bombos to get into Turtle Rock, and Fire Rod is on Death Mountain somewhere. Because if that happens, Ultyma picks up Fire Rod and just keeps going through the seed, and nothing really stops him. That's great for him, but as a viewer of this race, you know, it puts ZzCube in a really disadvantageous position, and I don't want to see the race get lopsided that quickly.
Well, especially with the flute in their possession, is the way that I would see this is that I would want to see is if I were trying to do this myself, I'd be saying, okay, what do I have everything to do? I have everything to do this dungeon. I want to get this out of the way and rule this out. The way they're getting so many items in this seed, though, as we find that there's just some arrows, it looks like, down in that first chest location, if I saw that correctly. The reason that I like them, a unique item is in Super Bunny Cave, by the way. Back to what I was thinking about. I completely forgot what I was saying now because I keep getting all those different things to talk about.
Something about the flute.
Ah, yes. With the flute, it's easy to get from location to location in the world, especially in the light world. And it's, in my opinion, just for that reason, it's easy to route in almost any location you could want to. Yes, some are better routed in with others. And you want certain items for certain things, like checking K45 with the mirror, for example, or maybe to do the check with Stumpy and the shovel at the same time, again with the mirror, things like that, for example. But being able to go wherever you need to go means being able to get the dungeon out of the way. Just take maybe another extra couple minutes to do more routing in that area later once you are more fully equipped, as some dungeon is likely to give you that item.
Yeah, that's right. There's no question with these items they have, getting around the world is easy. My worry for ZzCube is that too much of the world might get open for him. Once he picks up those mitts, pretty much the whole game is available to him. And so, you know, the possibility that he puts off certain checks until later are just going to get higher and higher for him. We're seeing him do hammer strats on Moldorm here, keeping in mind that the tail is going to be wherever the head was previously, which is a good way of actually targeting where you're going to need to hit. And with 3 hits, that goes down.
So he did get the green pen. I wonder if he was...
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead.
Well, that was flippers on Moldorm for our second item in the dungeon, but more importantly, we are now a fire rod and potentially a turtle rock medallion away from go mode between the runners.
This would be a very fast go mode if this were to happen, but many seeds that one item can be hidden in a very obscure location. So we'll see what happens with the setup today, as Ultyma is currently at the big chest in Eastern Palace, takes his big 20 and heads back into the maze. He has a lantern. As you can see, he has a much easier time with this maze because he can see where he's going in this maze, and he's not going to get stuck. But he also does not have the mirror to do any warping out because, as we saw earlier, it's up in Paradox Cave.
Yeah, and I like how he released the fairy there as well. Same thing ZzCube did, was making sure that when he hit 0 hearts, that fairy didn't ruin his dreams of a death warp.
And he looks like he's heading back towards Helmsar King at this point. Either that or there might be another couple chests he still hasn't checked.
No, he's cleared out this dungeon. It's down to the boss for him, which will be quite straightforward. And ZzCube
go ahead.
Is making the play on Swamp.
Yeah, Ultyma is going to be the first round to see what's on Helmsar King today. Very nice fight. Just pound the mask a lot with a hammer and then shoot it with a silver arrow, which you now have. ZzCube is heading towards the Swamp Palace and Argus, who we'll see later. Basically a giant octopus. Oh no, he's actually passing Swamp Palace.
Yeah, before he does Swamp, he's going to do Cave 45 here.
Yeah.
Which is good. It makes sense to do this check first, just on the off chance something useful comes up. You find it before you did the whole dungeon. But, you know, there's not a lot left that these runners can find.
Yeah, a lot of the
fire rod.
A lot of checks now are going to be like garbage items, as we were just saying. There's not that much left. Yes, they can find things like the book or the cape, or even, and of course, both medallions, they might need those as well. But the mushroom, the bag of powder, any of those could lead to the fire rod as well, or to the, or to the other medallions. That's what I was trying to say. So there could even be a fetch quest involved, and that's probably about as challenging as this might get at this point, because the items are very well laid out today for a quick clearing of a lot of the game. So here's that Helmsar King fight. Pound the mask, avoid the tail, avoid the breaths of fire from his mouth, which he hasn't spat any yet, which is good for Ultyma. 1 silver arrow, and nope, he is not using the silver arrow. I'm curious why he didn't.
You know what? When you have the tempered sword, it takes way too long to open the menu and switch to the bow.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. As he finds 50 rupees back there. And that is crystal number 4. Now, no, crystal number 3 already lit up. So 37.
I was going to say.
37
He's
minutes
going fast.
40 seconds. Yeah, 37 minutes and 40 seconds. He's already got 3 crystals. This is a pretty quick seed so far. And with that, I've probably just laid a commentator's curse.
Well, let's see what he does here. He's got that hook shot as well. I'd be surprised if he didn't make the mountain play. He is going to do this. If he goes through Hera, he's going to get his flippers, as well as his mirror out of this whole exercise. You know, if Super Bunny Cave is holding the fire rod, we could see him in go mode in the next 10 minutes.
He also has the Titan's Mist, so he could possibly check Spike Cave as well if he chooses to do that at some point. So we'll see if he routes that in as well. So ZzCube is making his way through Swamp Palace, gets hit by one of the weird little enemies there, and goes into the south area. Going to work his way in a circle so he can get the chest on the other side of those blocks when he pushes that block. That chest has the blue boomerang, so both boomerangs are accounted for in today's seed. Ultimate does now have his mirror from Paradox Cave. Going to find the money and health up here.
You know, it's not just the progression items these runners have. It's the fact that he's got over 1,000 rupees, 11 hearts, and blue mail less than 40 minutes into this seed. It's not that ZzCube has bad items. He has a very good loadout for 40 minutes in. It's just not as good.
ZzCube makes his way down to the drain room. He pushed the switch to drain the water. There's 2 chests here, a compass, and there's the cape. So that does put Bumper Cave squarely into logic in case something were to be setting up there today. There's a big 20 in the waterfall chest. And just a couple more annoying rooms to go through for ZzCube here, and we're going to have another boss fight. This will be for him. It looks like his second crystal. He does also have the Thieves Town cleared, which is a pendant. Or no, Tower of Hera, I mean, which is a pendant. My apologies.
That's right. He hasn't done Thieves Town, which means he has not pulled those Titan's Mitts from their vanilla location, which is hampering his progression at this point. And we did see the book out of Super Bunny Cave. That was the unique item hiding there.
Now that does give access to Desert Palace as well, but they also have that already from the flute and the mirror. So in that sense, while Ultyma does not have the... Actually, he does it both times. So yeah, both runners already have access to that anyway. The book will simply give access to a couple of tablets should they choose to check those.
Yeah, but one of those tablets is Ether, which is on the way into Hera for Ultyma. The other is Bombos down near Swamp Palace. You know, everything's just kind of falling into place with his routes. That said, ZzCube just did a nice Argus fight, gets the map off there. Does he go back in for left side?
We have not seen a hint for left side yet, so there is this question of whether he decides to make that gamble or whether he's been counting the items, because I hadn't been counting. We did see a compass, so there is at least 1 item on the left side. And he is...
Well, with a map from the boss, that would make 2 items on the left side.
Yeah, that's 2 items. Yeah, that was the map from the boss. You're correct. So 2 items on the left side. And let's see what's there momentarily as Ultyma goes into Tower of Hera, going to open the chest in the back and get the big key out of there. No basement play.
Yeah, ironically, it was a hint tile upstairs in Tower of Hera that told us it's just a small key in the basement of Tower of Hera. That's not designed by the logic, that's just something nice that happens sometimes for us.
Yep, it's always fun when you're about to do something and a hint tile tells you, no, don't do something. It saves you some time to know that you don't have to check that. It's amazing how many times with this hint system I've already seen that happen. As Ultyma actually just got a hint a little bit late in this case about the unique item in Super Bunny Cave. Thanks, game. I did that about 3 minutes ago. Thanks for telling me sooner. And ZzCube is going to release the torrent of water so he can make further progress to the left side. And about a minute or 2, we should have those items.
Did we mention the Turtle Rock Medallion?
Yeah, I see it's marked as Bombos. I don't think either of us mentioned that.
It was a very quick check by Ultyma, but man, that's huge. That's 1 less thing to worry about.
Yeah, and knowing that both dungeons require the Bombos, that means that we don't have to worry about those medallions at all today. As you see, there are 2 more listed next to the Bombos, which are the Ether and the Quake.
Oh no, Ultima's put Trolldorm into the rage mode here.
He got
a bad poke there.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that we're not going to have those other 2 medallions mean anything today, as Ultima picks up his flippers, and because those other 2 medallions don't mean anything, we're not going to worry about where they are today, unless they show up.
That's right. We are down to needing the Fire Rod for Ultima to be in go mode. ZzCube finds Ether, which we just said isn't too important.
I'm just talking about it, so of course it's going to show up right now.
But, you know, he has to... If he gets over to Thieves Town and then gets his mitts and immediately does Smiths, he will have the equivalent item and also be just Fire Rod away from go mode. The real question is, where's that Fire Rod going to be? And who's going to stumble on it first?
There's a lot of places it can be. I mean, we're at Sick Kid right now. I was about to say if it's a Sick Kid, that would be really disgusting and fast. But it is a full heart container from the Sick Kid. Looking at the dungeons that are available, it could obviously be in Desert Palace. No one has checked that yet. I mean, you need a fire source, so why not to clear it out, put it in there. Palace of Darkness, Ultima's already done. Swamp, we've already seen completed, and not marked off yet, I don't think, on our tracker. Skullwoods has not been explored yet, at least not fully, and cannot be cleared because we don't have the Fire Rod. Ice Palace is available, and Misery Mire, of course, is available as well. So those are all possible locations for the Fire Rod today.
Yeah, so I like this play from Ultyma, where you just say, all right, I can clear ice. It's a crystal. Oh, hey, look, the hint just ruled out part of Misery Mire for me.
That's nice.
And that's an incredible hint to find. And by the time he's done with here, at the very least, he'll have 4 crystals. Even better, when he goes to Mire, not only does he know the left side has nothing, he knows that he's already found one of the items in Mire. So if he finds the second, he doesn't have to go all the way to Vitreous.
Yeah, that'll be a very nice situation, since he knows one item is over there. That if he just goes to the first chest, opens it, and finds out that it's nothing important, well, you know what? We're done here. Unless, for some reason, and I'm just going to think very quickly if this is possible. Looking at the dungeons, we have Desert Palace. We already have the lamp available, and we have Misery Mire. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Philion, I don't think the Fire Rod is required to clear Misery Mire completely. So that means that it could even be on the pedestal for all we know.
I mean, much as I'm wary of pedestal seeds in this tournament, yeah, it absolutely could be there.
Yeah, it's one of those seeds that's just been very giving. I could just see something like that happening to say, okay, you're doing an all dungeons seed today.
So I'm a huge fan of saying a lot in commentary. You don't want to do Ice Palace until you have the flippers, if Swamp's in play. Because in the time it takes you to find the flippers, you might find the item you need, the rest of the items you need for Go Mode. With the hint system, where something in Ice Palace might actually tell you where the flippers are, like Ultyma just got. Okay, maybe sometimes you want to sequence break to Ice Palace, and maybe you'll get the flippers hint along the way. Not helpful, but it's one of the ways hints are potentially swapping up the meta here.
Yeah, the hints being in the dungeons is very, very useful. I think there's 3 in Ice Palace, if I'm not mistaken, that you can pick up. And as you said, some runners don't like the hint system because a lot of the hints are proving to be rather benign hints. But usually in a seed, you're going to find at least a couple, unless you're very unlucky. You're usually going to find a couple that are at least somewhat helpful. Even if it's just telling you where cash is, you know you can rule that item out. If it tells you where some bombs are, you can rule that item out. As we're going to get one here, I heard beans on toast is a great meal. That is not a useful hint in any way, shape, or form. And the reason
but it's a useful fact.
It's a useful fact, but it's a green hint, which means it's not going to help us with the seed at all.
All right, good news over on ZzCube's side. He's out of Skullwoods, didn't find anything great in there. We're going to see him check the Bumper Cave ledge right now. But there's only one real place you go from here, and that's to Thieves Town. So we are going to see him end up on that critical path, getting his stuff. And boy, I hope he does the Smith and gets that cane.
Yeah, the Smith is an easy thing to forget, but he does have the mirror. He might even do that before going to Thieves Town. He's heading down that general direction, I think. Or maybe he just forgot.
Well, he's got to do Thieves Town first. He needs to pick up his Titan Smith.
Yeah, he hasn't done it. Oh, yeah, that's true. He hasn't done any of these chests in Village of Outcasts yet, looks like. He just got 300 rupees from C-Shaped House. So he's going to be checking the other items here before going into Thieves Town, I believe. Yep, here he goes into what we like to call the brewery right now. Not because there's anything brewing in there, but because that's just what we call it in the randomizer.
Well, you know, there's barrels in a cellar.
Yeah.
Probably barrels of ale.
Possible. And ultimately takes out the freeze ores in this room. 2 of them have to be taken out to make a chest appear next to the hole right there. And that's another 50 rupees in there. And gonna use a hook shot trick to get to the big chest without having to fall the normal way and the more time expensive way. As ZzCube starts his tour of Thieves Town, he will be getting those Titan's mitts in the vanilla location.
Also worth reminding everyone, including myself, he's also going to find Ice Rod and Tempered Sword along the path here.
That's correct. So I'm keeping an eye on Ultyma right now because that's where we're going to get our new information right now. There are still some chests that Ultyma can check in here. Of course, these could be the Fire Rod as well, for all we know. We'll find out when we get to them. Getting bothered by that anti-fairy right now a little bit. Working his way over, I think it's to the iced tea room, if I'm remembering this correctly. And yes, there it is. So let's see what's in the iced tea room. Just a full heart container. That's the third. That was the Sank heart. So he just got a health refill. So that was the heart you normally find at the Sanctuary. Why do we call it Sank heart? Well, because it's normally found in the Sanctuary. That's the one that automatically refills your health. And the reason that one automatically refills your health is because it's the only one that's not locked behind a boss. Normally when you pick up a heart, your health won't be refilled. You're just going to go and get your celebration of collecting your pendant or crystal, and the game will warp you out and refill your health for you. Sank heart is the one that does it automatically because you're not clearing a dungeon at that time.
Oh, nice Hellway setup from ZzCube there.
Very nice.
The star gets out of the way. He just blazes through it.
That was very quick. I like that setup very much. So he's going to get that hint tile about... Did you see that? Did you see that? Ultyma did not see that. The Fire Rod is right here.
Ultima's about to find out in, I'd say, about 20 seconds here if this fight goes well.
Yeah.
Or a bit longer if Cold Stare doesn't get put in the corner.
But we know the Fire Rod is right here. What are the chances of checking the hint tile and being able to see it on the other screen right away? We're going to have it right here. 3, 2, 1. Ding!
I'd like to thank ZzCube for the foreshadowing. I'd like to thank the Thieves' Town hint system for providing us with that. And I'd like to congratulate Ultyma on being in go mode 52 minutes into this race. ZzCube's right, putting up a good fight, but he's got a lot of ground to make up here. As Ultyma, it seems, has just made the sensible decision, made a sensible, reasonable decision in each case, and found exactly what he needed on the path. There is nothing in his way at this point.
That was absolutely perfect. He's been having such great progression with clearing the crystals in the seed as well. Already 4 crystals at this point in the seed. Like, we're not going to have what you consider a super fast time. I've seen seeds cleared at a minute 5, a minute 10. He might get somewhere in the minute 10 range because you can very quickly go through Turtle Rocks. I'll be the last one he does on the way to Ganon's Tower. Skull or Swamp Palace, he can go mode that. He doesn't have to do left side, he doesn't have to do the bottom. He can just do the first key and go straight through without having to do anything else. So perfect setup for him on that. And Skull Woods, you don't need the big key for that. You can just go straight to Mothula. So 2 very, very quick dungeons. One where you have to look for a few keys, and that's pretty much all he has to do on the way to Ganon's Tower. He's going to have a really good time here today.
Yeah, I'm usually not one to call a race early, and you know, still stuff could happen here. But ZzCube is still going to finish with an impressive time that is not going to match this routing Ultyma has pulled out tonight.
Yeah, he still has to get the King of Samaria from the dwarf. So even though ZzCube now knows that the Fire Rod is in Ice Palace, which is very, very useful information for him, he still has to get that King of Samaria. And as far as he's concerned, it could be anywhere. So he is going to be still looking for that before he worries about the Ice Rod. And I'm actually wondering whether he's going to go looking for the cane before he... I mean, the Fire Rod. I wonder if he's going to go looking for the cane before he actually goes to get that Fire Rod out of Ice Palace.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision point for him right here. I do want to say he did a nice little blind fight, opting for Burnistrats to just kind of put the fight on autopilot. Looks like he might be doing Hammer Pegs and or the Smith right now.
Yeah, he's heading to the Smith's direction, so he might be getting a very quick Smith check. That'll give him the King of Samaria, and it won't be quite go mode, but I guess you could call it no mode for him because he knows where that Fire Rod is located.
Yeah, the one disadvantage, I shouldn't say disadvantage, because Ultyma had to do this too. The one thing he will have to do still is a full clear of Ice Palace. Because when you hear the Fire Rod is hiding in Ice Palace, you don't let yourself double dip it. You clear that whole dungeon looking for it. And when it shows up on Cold Stare, you go, there was no other way to do that reasonably.
Yeah, and he's going to know that Ultyma will have done that as well, without question. So a full clear is really the only way to do it. And Ultyma is gaining a lot of time because he can just, as I mentioned, he's ignoring every single chest. He already has silver arrows. He already has the Temper Sword. Yes, it would be nice to be able to get the Gold Sword, but you don't need it. Temper Sword is all you need to, by logic, to beat the game. So if anything, he's missing a shield, but we can live without a shield. He's pretty much on autopilot at this point. He doesn't have to check anything else except for a few keys.
And as expected, ZzCube, taking that hint knowledge that his Go Mode item is an Ice Palace, is headed straight there. It's also one of the only dungeons he can still complete. Now, it's worth remembering, he did not complete Palace of Darkness while he was there, and he still doesn't have the lamp. At this rate, he's not going to go into King's Tomb and pick it up. So he is going to have a bit of extra work when he goes back to Pod.
Yeah, and looking at, as Ultyma finishes off Argus, Argus, of course, drops the map. We know that already. He's not going to go back in and collect anything else in here. There's no reason for him to. He's heading straight, at this point, I would say, to Skullwoods. And looking at the tally, ZzCube, it looks like, only has 3 crystals compared to Ultima's 5. This is definitely Ultima's race to lose at this point. Of course, it's not over. Anything can happen. But short of a power failure, I don't see ZzCube having that much of a chance to come back in this. Yep, as expected, Ultimate is going straight into the portal, right over to Skullwoods, knowing that that is the next play to make. Going to go straight to the back. Walking his way through. See if he checks any chests along the way, but he probably will not. Deals with the picket.
Yeah, so this is really going to show up in the collection rate difference between the two runners. ZzCube dipped into Skullwoods, picked up a few chests there. Ultyma is in Go Mode by the time he hits Skullwoods, which means he does not open chests. Every small key he needs is either under a pot, like in this room, or with an enemy in the room before boss, which means he goes all the way to the boss. Of 8 chests in a dungeon, he opens 1 of them. That's incredible time save.
Yeah, incredible time save and item count difference as well.
And we saw the same thing in Swamp Palace. ZzCube cleared the whole thing out. 12 chests opened. Ultima cleared the whole thing out with 2 chests opened, or 2 items checked, those being the forced one at the start, and the item you get from the boss.
It is a huge time save, as you said, and a lot of time that's not spent looking around for an item that you already have that your opponent did when they did that dungeon. ZzCube, of course, this will be the last dungeon he has to full clear, but he has a lot of catching up to do. Ultimate is already at Monthly. He's already on the way to crystal number 6, and we're not even an hour into the seed, ladies and gentlemen. So this is just blazing today.
You know, the other thing is, sometimes when you get these jet seeds where everything falls into place, sure, you have all your progression, but you're sitting there with a Master Sword hoping that at some point the game throws you Tempered. When you get Tempered as early as Ultima does, the bosses aren't even a challenge. You just take out Moth in less than 30 seconds, and there is your 6th crystal already.
So he's on his way to Tower of Hera. We do have one more dungeon, one more crystal in Tower of Hera.
I hope he doesn't go back to Tower of Hera.
I'm saying it wrong. I'm point area, wrong dungeon. Turtle Rock. On his way to Turtle Rock, I should say. And he's going to make his way through that. He will have to come close to full clearing that one because he does have to find 4 keys. All 4 keys are required to make your way through. Not like in Bird Mode where you can actually sneak right in the back door, find 1 key on Laser Bridge, and you're done. Here in regular mode, you have to go through all 4 doors in order to complete the dungeon. So he will have to full clear, well, possibly full clear Turtle Rock. But if he finds the keys quickly, it may be very quick clear as well if he finds all 4 keys quickly. ZzCube stops in the fairy health room and gets a few extra hearts before continuing on in Ice Palace, so he's now heading back upstairs.
You know what's terrible? Bonking into dead rocks. They still damage you, and sometimes they don't even get stunned. Oof. You know what the best thing about Randomizer as a game mode is? Dead rocks get removed from Death Mountain.
Well, a lot of them do. There might still be a couple up there if Randomizer places them there, but they show up elsewhere, and depending on where they show up, they can still be tricky too. If you see them in the top of that hallway towards Blind Sunshine Room, as I like to call it, they can be just as nasty there too. So Ultyma is now in his final dungeon. Doesn't even check the hint towel. He has everything he needs, so he's not even going to check the hints anymore. Neither will ZzCube once he gets the fire rod. And I'm actually surprised he's been checking the hint tiles because there's nothing else I think they really needs.
So I see some discussion going on in chat, and it's worth mentioning. Because ZzCube didn't have mitts when he came up the mountain, he didn't get to look at Turtle Rock. Because he didn't look at Turtle Rock, he doesn't know the medallion for it.
Oh.
For all he knows, it's Quake required, which is why he's being a bit cautious with his hints. Because in the event he needs Quake, he wants to have some idea of where to go or where not to look for it.
That's very true. I did forget that ZzCube did not check that.
We know he's in go mode, and he'll find out he's in go mode when he gets up to the mountain. But until that happens, there is that gnawing feeling in the stomach of, oh no, am I going to get there and find out I can't get inside? Oh, and very luckily for Ultyma, he got the big key already from Turtle Rock, which means he gets to steal the key from the Pokey, save just a bit more time.
Yep, that means that only 3 keys will be required for him to get through here, and nothing else in here will matter to him at that point. As we're in the Chain Chomp room, and almost got bit by Chompy there, but makes his way through, grabs a key from that chest. So now, of course, it had to be a key because you can't continue without it, so he is going to continue down and head into the tube area. And comes out in the room with the 4 anti-fairies, and is now going to steal that key, as you mentioned, from the Pokey. Turns into a bunny, but that's a very interesting multicolored bunny sprite.
Oh, a nice cold stare fight from ZzCube. Gets those puffs in the corner. As I say that, though, they escape from him, do about half his health. But it doesn't matter. He's got the fire rod. We know he has all the items he needs. And at just over an hour, you know, he's still making good time in this seed. It's just not enough good time. Too much time?
Yeah, correct that. Correct. At 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 39 seconds, ZzCube is in. Am I in go mode or not mode?
So Ultyma did skip 2 chests here. The vanilla big key chest in the lava room there, as well as the big chest, because it's not worth your time to dip outside. It does leave about a 5% chance that the last small key you need is locked in one of those 2 chests, but we see Ultyma get a key from the chest there. That is all he needs. He doesn't even have to touch the laser bridge at this point.
Yeah, he's all set for keys. Laser bridge, we're not going to get a visit today, and ZzCube, once he gets here in go mode himself, it'll be the same for him. He won't touch laser bridge either. So laser bridge, we're not going to get to see what those 4 items today are, unfortunately, but we know they are useless items for us anyway. ZzCube went to the witch and got some medicine, it looks like. So off now to the Palace of Darkness area, and is going to, or I should say Eastern Palace area, which will let him warp to the Palace of Darkness area. Ultyma is, I think, about 2 rooms away from Trinex and about to get a 7th crystal. That means we have a game we're going to start in a moment. I'll talk about it in just a moment.
You know,
and here we are.
Tempered Sword Trinex fight for your 7th crystal at 65 minutes in. I know I've said this a lot, but this is just a strange feeling for any runner to have at this point. Being this well equipped this quickly through the race is incredible.
Yeah, some seeds will make you go an hour and a half with much more meager equippings, as you noted. So Ultimate does get the very quick spin to start off that fight. Trinex is down. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to start a special game we play here in chat called the Big Key Guessing Game. We have 22 chests in Ganon's Tower, numbers 1 to 22. Pick a chest, we're going to find out if the key is there and if you're right. If you are right, you get a special prize placed on the leaderboard for that. So we're going to start that right now, and finally, where do you think that key is today?
Well, I always guess that key is in chest number 14, which, according to standard routing, quote-unquote, is Bob's chest, that chest above Ice Armos, but most of the time I'm right when it's 14. It's definitely not in that chest. It's hiding somewhere else. I'm guessing you're going to say it's chest 11, always?
Yeah, always. Why not? It's actually kind of funny because I was on a call recently, and the very next race it turned out to be 11, so it will happen. I'm waiting for it to happen on a call. It hasn't happened yet. So we'll see if I'm right today as Ultimate heads into Ganon's Tower, and we are going to be stopping the game. And the search begins as ZzCube is going through the dark room. I believe that was Misery Mire he was in, if I hadn't really been paying attention. But I think it was Misery Mire.
Nah, no one's touching Misery Mire in this seed. It's a pendant. It's got junk in the left side. He's going through the pod basement here.
Oh, Palace of Darkness, my mistake.
And look, in chest number 1, there's a big key for Ultima. In chest number 2, a small key. Look, we're not checking the rest of Ganon's Tower because there's nothing else we need. Let's just climb the tower and finish the game.
I guess I was halfway right.
So congrats to Walter IV for being incredibly optimistic with his guess and being correct. I do want to shout out ZzCube's run through the dark rooms that he did there. Effective torch use and then effective hammer use in the hallway before Helmasaur means he doesn't need lamp to beat this game, and he's showing us why. Ultima stalls a bit in the Mimics 2 room, but at this point, man, this lead is just incredible.
Yeah, he has a lot of health, and he should have no problem, I would imagine, going up this tower. And is going to make his way back out right now. This is the first room leading to the gauntlet, and he's trying to play with the switches, get the traps outside. They're not cooperating with him today. He just works his way through them, takes a little damage abuse, and goes through Cannonball Run, and he now enters the gauntlet. Why do we call it the gauntlet? Well, there are 5 very difficult rooms, including Stalfos and Zyzax on conveyor belts. If that's not bad enough, room number 2 has Beamos on conveyor belts.
Yeah, the thing about the gauntlet isn't just that the rooms can do a lot of damage to you. In a race setting, with all these enemies going on conveyors and moving around, you actually really have to understand how enemies move, how the ice physics in the game work, if you want to take things out quickly. We see Ultima, missed a Zyzax there and got stuck for a while trying to chase it down. That's the kind of thing that happens in Gauntlet here, and it makes GT one of the most challenging parts of any race.
And just like that, if you blinked, you missed Ultima going through the gauntlet. He cleared that in very quick fashion. And if you blinked again, you missed the Land Molas fight. Ultima cleared those in very quick fashion and is now heading up to the 5th floor of Ganon's Tower. We are a couple floors away from the wizard who guards the top and unlocks the path to Ganon. ZzCube is using his fire rod to unlock Mothula's lair, and it looks like this will be crystal number 6 for him.
Yeah, on the one hand, he's making very good time through this race. I know most runners would be happy to be getting your 6th crystal about an hour and 10 in. On the other hand, I have to imagine in his position, you know how long you put off Thieves Town. You know how it was kind of the linchpin for the second half of the items you need. Despite the great time he's pulling, I imagine he's a bit worried, and rightly so in this case. Ultyma just god-routed this race.
And he's just going super fast in Ganon's Tower as well. This is probably one of the quicker Ganon's Towers I've seen in the last few races I've called here. This is takes out the mini Helmosaurs, goes through the locked door, couple traps, a small one and a big one, and 2 rooms away from Moldorm 2, I should say. And yeah,
now
very fast.
The blocks in this room are a bit awkward or off because he left the red blocks up in the Switchblade room several floors below. Does make going through there a bit more challenging because you do still want to pick up that full magic. But there we go, Moldorm 2 is down.
The only question that remains is whether he will open the final chest. I thought he was going to try hovering for a second, but he didn't. He does not open the final chest, and uses the hookshot trick there to get across quickly, and is now in the final real main part of the game, going upstairs, and is now on his way to the trigonometry fight.
Over on ZzCube's side, he's making his way up Death Mountain. Soon he will find out he can actually get into Turtle Rock. That'll be a sigh of relief for him.
Ultyma having a little bit of trouble with the Aghanim fight. I think I've only seen about 2 or 3 hits so far. There's a double. Those 2 both hit. A couple blue balls from the main wizard as well. And there's 2 more. So I think that's 1 more hit, and Aghanim 2 is defeated. There he goes. The bat will come out of Aghanim 2's body. ZzCube is about to find out that he can go into Turtle Rock in about, say, about 10 seconds or so. And Ultyma's Ganon bat has left the scene, and the duck arrives to take him out and take him to the pyramid. And as of now, at 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 32 seconds, ZzCube is officially knows he's in go mode.
Ultyma does have to be careful here. A single Ganon hug will take him out. He probably wants to get through the first 2 phases before he uses a potion. Oh, and he just misses the spin off the Trident, so we won't be getting the quick 1 cycle of the first 2 phases of Ganon. And there we see him dipping for the potion once he's down to his last heart.
He's on his way to a great time. Don't take a risk. Get that potion down, and oh, that could have been a great position. If he got a little further over to the right, that would be a great position to get a quick phase 2. But he got pushed outside of there, and is going to have a little bit of a hard time getting those hits in. Did he get enough? Nope, we're getting another. Nope, we got enough. He's on phase 3.
Oh yeah, we're through to phase 3. I'm a little concerned about his health with these fire bats, but at this rate, he should be able to power through it.
Yep, there's the last hit. And did you find the silver arrows in Eastern Palace? Tell you what, Gan, I'll show you.
Gets the torch glitch there, but Ganon escapes to the top right corner. That's a second hit for him. Only 2 more required.
1 more now. And there it is right there. And that's an impressive time for Ultyma. We're going to give it to you in just a second here, as he is the first runner to finish today. He just has to cross a 2-tile wide bridge fraught with danger, and he will be the winner. And Ultyma has officially finished with a time of 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 25 seconds official SRL time. The Triforce stage simply says GG.
And a well-deserved one. Less than an hour 30 is often considered, a reasonably quick seed. Less than an hour 20 is a fast seed. Less than an hour 15, you don't see that very often at all. So, well done for Ultyma. We will see if we can get him in here for an interview. But Man, what a time for him to post here. A clean victory over ZzCube.
And his routing was absolutely perfect today. You just want everything to line up where you search, and it was literally where he went. That's where the progression was, and it worked out to his benefit today, as ZzCube did not make that play, as you noted earlier, to Thieves Town at the same time as Ultyma did. And I think ultimately that could be considered his downfall in some respects.
That's right. Again, it's not like ZzCube had inefficient or bad routing for most of this race. It was just that delayed Titan's mitt that really slowed him down, along with the delayed cane. You know, small things like checking all of Swamp Palace instead of go-moding it, checking all of Skull Woods instead of go-moding it. That's what makes the difference here. As well as, you know, that double dip into Palace of Darkness without the lamp did cost him a bit of time. The fact that Ultyma got the lamp as one of his only out-of-the-way checks really blows my mind, but it looks like he's here, so we're going to drag him in for an interview. And Ultyma, congratulations on the sub 115. Great work. My biggest question for you is, did you know you had such a big lead here?
Normally when I come across a jet seed, I usually still lose by 15 minutes, so I thought I was behind the whole race.
Well, I'm happy to tell you you were very incorrect about that.
Oh, I'm very glad.
Now, we were extremely impressed with the way the routing lined up for you today. It's got to be an incredible feeling to just literally God mode the game. Like, wherever you go, you're finding the progression, and you're getting the crystals, and everything just lines up for you. Did it feel at some point that something might change in the progression here today?
Yeah, I figured if Fire Rod wasn't an Ice Palace, it was going to turn into a Pendant Dive somewhere. But I believe in Bombos very much, and I always go into Ice hoping for Fire Rod when I get in early Bombos.
I mean, that's a pretty conventional bit of wisdom that I'm always happy to hear people say, because I believe in it myself. Fun story about Ice Rod in Ice Palace, though. Just as you entered that Cold Stair fight, ZzCube was in Thieves Town. He went there a bit late. And do you know what the hint tile in Thieves Town told him?
I bet it was Fire Rod and Ice Palace.
Oh,
exactly.
Yes, it was. So,
it was absolutely perfect, because you were literally on the Cold Stair. You just dropped in to visit Cold Stair, and we see the hint tile. We're like, okay, the Fire Rod is right there on Ultima's screen right now. We'll see it in about 20 seconds.
That's awesome. I love the Flippers hint in Ice Palace.
yeah, that one perhaps didn't work out so well for you. But yeah, this was, you know, one of those races where it just seemed like you could do no wrong. Was your mindset just, okay, I'm going to follow whatever drops into my play, or at what point were you starting to think you might have to start going out of the way for stuff?
Like I mentioned, if Ice Palace didn't have anything, I was gonna just start going into pendants. I was probably gonna go to Meyer after that, but I just kind of followed the items this time, and it kind of worked.
So Swamp Palace, even though it was a crystal, was not on the table for you?
No, I wanted to go mode Swamp. I never get to go mode Swamp, so I was focused on not going in there unless I absolutely had to.
I'm just going to interrupt for a second here. ZzCube just entering Gans Tower right now at about 1 hour and 19 minutes. And he also gets the key right away from the first chest. Big key in chest number 1 today in Gans Tower. So not only a God Mode C, but a God Mode Gans Tower.
That was great. That's why I always kind of go to those 2 chests first. I started doing the Dark Magician route, and then I ended up losing more than I won, so I just go back to my Hope Room and then to the left side.
Well, it's certainly going to help your collection rate in this race. The fact that you got to skip, you know, about 20 chests in the tower.
Yeah, this is the the best collection rate I've had for sure.
I'm actually curious to see what the number is. I think the lowest I've seen was just the other day. I saw 110 as a collection rate. I'm curious where this ranks in comparison to that.
I'm gonna speculate. We might be seeing like a low 100, 103-ish. But you know, I'd be very happy if I was on the high side of that guess. So this is this game 1 or game 2 against ZzCube for you, Ultyma?
Game 1.
All right. Have you given any thought to what settings you're going to throw back at ZzCube for in retaliation for this very nice seed?
Maybe thinking a little bit of retro. We'll see.
Yeah, you know, we haven't seen a ton of that this tournament. One of the rarest modes, so I'd be happy to see some of that come out.
I had a retro pulled on me against Frame, and that was a fun seed. That was my first retro.
Yeah, retro is a really fun mode to play, and in a way, if you're a fan of the original Legend of Zelda, the mechanics are pretty familiar with too. You go into some locations, take any cave locations, you can get a heart container, you can even find the sword, just like in the original game, sitting in one of those 9 locations. And the bows cost money, so very, very unique method of play, very fun, especially if you like the original Legend of Zelda, to mix it with Link to the Past in that way. So it can definitely be a challenge, though, especially if you're playing on hard mode and you have to buy a lot of keys.
Just an update, ZzCube's made his way through Land Mode 2, down to 3 hearts, but he did also stop to pick up a blue potion, so he's got plenty of safety for the rest of this.
So we're getting down to the statistics right now. There's the sword information. 2-minute first sword, 3-minute Pegasus boots, 4-minute flute. So interesting when some of the important items in the credits are literally all flagged in the 5 minutes. And you literally have the tempered sword before you had to do any dungeons today. So it made the combat very friendly in this seed as well today.
Yeah, it felt good to get that Master Sword off of Hobo by Fateful Burning early.
I want to shout out that menu time of 2:10. Nice work on your menuing there.
Thanks. That's also about 2 minutes ahead of my personal best too.
Very nice. And I see the collection rate is a 114 out of 216, so slightly higher than the 110 I mentioned, but still very, very impressive. Just barely over half. Half of that is 108. So just barely over half. And when you can go through and not have to look at half of the locations in the game, that's a lot of time saved.
For sure.
And a nice clean Mold Arm 2 fight from ZzCube. Slash and a spin's enough to take that fight out. We'll probably commentate his final play here. You're welcome to stick around, Ultyma, or head out. It's up to you.
I'll hang out.
Very good. All right. 3 hearts in the Aga 2 fight. He is able to take a couple missed hits here, if it comes down to that. 1 hit on round 1. I did notice a lot of blue balls coming up in this fight when you were going through it, Ultyma. Oh, but a nice cycle there. Gets the triple, and is going to head over to the Ganon fight. And just a reminder, he's also holding that blue potion. Now, Ultyma, you took a Death Warp in Palace of Darkness, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, you released the Fairy in the Dark Maze?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the more unfortunate parts of this run was when ZzCube attempted to, or did successfully release the Fairy, but it walked straight back into him in that same spot you were. Yeah. which led to a save and quit. You guys had the same idea about 2 minutes apart from each other. It just didn't work for him. And ZzCube progressing with phase 1 has those 12 hits and it's going to go into phase 2, hiding up in the corner here.
He got the great positioning that I mentioned. Ultyma did not get that positioning in the corner, so that will get him a very quick, clear phase 2. He's out of the way for the... Oh, he tasted death! Please tell me he has a fairy.
No, he released that fairy earlier in Palace of Darkness while he was in the Dark Maze. Fairy ran into him, stopped his death warp.
Well, that's going to change. That's going to change Ganon's pattern. He can behave a little bit differently now because he's no longer on the locked pattern that the seed generates him with. He's going to do something completely different now for his patterning at this point.
Oh, not a nice spot where he can hide up against the wall. ZzCube's opting for Cape Strat here to just stand in place and do the 12 hits. A reasonable alternative, especially when you know you have a blue potion to recover all that magic.
And now he's sitting in the corner. He was pulling on the wall, I think, to try to drain to prevent some of the magic drain. A neat little glitch that if you have the cape on and you're basically invisible, you can pull on the wall and it will stop your magic drain. So basically, you can stand there forever if you want to and have infinite magic holding onto a wall invisible. And yes, he does have the Eastern Palace arrows as well, the silver arrows from the Armos Knights. We kind of had no choice. You had to get them. So he is...
Oh, nice setup in phase 4 there. Nice. Purposely delaying the torches so Ganon stops in the middle of the room.
Very, very nice setup. And he has now also completed Ganon fight. He's going to get his GG from the Triforce. Speaking of which, everyone in chat, get your GGs in the chat for ZzCube, as he will be our second place finisher today. Still a very good time. Let's get that official SRL time for you now. Well, he's going to, okay, he stalled a little bit, but let's get that time now. Official SRL time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 16 seconds. I checked in the last moments here, and he will be joining us for an interview, so it should be just a moment before he joins us as well. While we wait for him, I'm just going to point out a race tomorrow morning. We do have another race tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. on this very channel. I just want to quickly advertise the Elminster and Dracarys race at that time. And that will be right before the SNES marathon that takes place for the next 10 days on this very channel as well. So keep an eye out for those tomorrow, as well as a lot of additional races in the tournament. Type schedule in the chat. You can get more information on those and other events going on the Speed Gaming Network.
And we are joined by ZzZCube. GG on that race, still pulling a sub 130 time. But you know, you may have picked up on this. I think it was a delayed trip to Thieves that cost you a bit of time. What was going through your mind when you pulled Titan's Mitts out of the big chest?
I was pretty sure that I'd win the race.
Really?
And then I lost by 13 minutes. Well, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not even mad. When your opponent puts up a 114 on you, you can't do anything other than shake your head and move on to the next one.
Yeah, everything worked
no,
out.
you certainly
Oh, sorry. Apologies, Fowler. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just going to say that, yes, Ultyma literally had progression everywhere he turned today. It was like he had the golden touch. Nothing could go wrong. He did get that Titan's Mitt in that vanilla location very, very, very much earlier than you did. And deep down, I had a feeling you had a feeling that you were on a winning path as well, because you did still route the seed very well. He just had a god mode routing today.
Yep, I mean, it's the way it goes. Not much to say other than that. Congratulations to Ultyma. He's a friend of mine. I'm happy for him. He deserves this one.
Thanks, man. GG. You did great, too.
You know, sometimes the sportsmanship we see in this tournament just warms my heart.
And that's something really interesting to point out as well. All the runners in this community, they are friends with each other. You're going to find that there's no hatred in this community. It really is one of the great communities that you can be part of, one of the best communities I'm happy to be a part of. And as we are all generally friendly with each other, and you see races all the time. So you're going to find a lot of friends in this community, people that are willing to race with you and help you get better at this game and just be great at racing with each other.
ZzCube, I heard you say there wasn't much else to say. Did you mean that, or did you have any other thoughts?
Thanks to that fairy for owning me in pod.
Oh.
I have a question. Where was the Bombos medallion?
That's that's a good question.
I absolutely do not remember picking that up at all. I only noticed I had it when I was going to Village of Outcast, menuing to the portal.
It was very early, because I think you did both get it early. I want to say it was Thieves Town. I might be mistaken. No, it was Hype Cave. I'm reading in chat. One of our chatters is saying Hype Cave. So it was there with the bow that you picked that up, and I do remember that now. It was in Hype Cave.
Fair enough.
So yeah, you had that Bombos available very early, and it was just like the stars aligned that both dungeons. You didn't even need Mystery Map. It was just like the stars aligned that both dungeons required Bombos to get in today.
Yeah, Ether would have been real awesome, given where I found that. But
well, that was a nasty spot for Ether if it was required.
Where was Ether?
It was
left
actually
side swamp.
Yeah, it was actually on the other side of the hookshot gap, the second chest on the right.
Ooh.
And we did have, and we've already told Ultyma about this as well, but we did have a bit of a funny moment when you went to check the hint tile in Thieves Town. Ultyma actually did not check that hint tile. He had no idea that what you found there. He had no information on that at all for the entire seed. You checked that hint tile, which said Fire Rod is in Ice Palace. Ultyma had already full cleared Ice Palace at that point, had literally just dropped it at the Cold Stare fight. We literally got to see it 20 seconds after you checked the hit.
Shoutouts to the most loaded Thieves Town of all time, by the way.
It was a great Thieves Town, yes.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Ice Rod, Tempered, Titan's Mitt, Fire Rod Hint. Yeah, it's all right.
Blue Mail, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you suck like me, that's a good item.
Yeah, I think that was all 4 useful items, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. Well, if there's nothing further from you two, we might as well wrap things up here as the credits roll on ZzCube's side. Cyclone, did you have a listing of when some other tournament races are coming up?
Let me actually grab a few of those from the schedule quickly as we wait for these to come up here.
If you don't have one, I've got one ready, actually. Tomorrow morning, because we're running out of races for tonight, but tomorrow morning, 8:30 on Speed Gaming, right here, Elminster RTA versus Dracaris. And then 3 hours after that, Illis versus that same Elminster RTA over on Speed Gaming 3. And so actually 2 morning matches tomorrow, followed by, of course, daytime matches on all the Speed Gaming channels and ALTTP Randomizer. So stay tuned, keep your eyes peeled for more races, and hopefully a couple more seeds that run as fast as this one.
Yeah, and just to clarify again, I did mention you could type schedule in chat for that earlier. You can also just directly visit speedgaming.org/ALTTPR if you're watching on our YouTube channel or watching the VOD. That's another way that you can get that information. And Phileon did also type schedule in chat for those of you who are with us live. We also have other events that are on as well. I alluded earlier after the 8:30 race that there's an SNES Superstars Marathon going on tomorrow. There are all sorts of interesting games being run as part of that. And there's actually some Link to the Past runs with some very interesting modes that are actually part of that marathon as well. There's a 2x race where things go, I think, twice as fast. There is a co-op race, or co-op run, not a race, but just a run that is going to be run as part of that. So these are a couple of examples of things that will happen during that marathon as well, sometime in these next 10 days. You can also find some Donkey Kong Country, some Let's see what else is on here tomorrow. Zelda 1 Randomizer, which is getting in the final phases of their current tournament. There's also a German Link to the Past tournament that's getting an English restream. That one's on Speed Gaming 2 tomorrow at 1 p.m. So that's just an example of some more things that you can watch. There's also a Super Mario Odyssey Darker Side tournament that's just starting up. Now they have a race in that on Speed Gaming 4 at some point tomorrow.
All right, and there's the collection rate on the left side, 122. Still pretty darn low as these races go.
Yeah, that is still pretty low. I was going to say that even though ZzCube did have that full clear of Swamp Palace and that full clear of, I think, a couple other dungeons that Ultyma was able to just speed through, the collection rates are still very close, only 8 items apart.
Well, I think we will wrap it up there. I've been Philion. Thanks, Cyclone, for joining me on commentary, and shoutouts to Long Road Gaming, who had a lot of things to track really, really fast tonight. And hey, thanks to these runners for running. Have a good night.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for putting this on, and most importantly, thanks to the chat for showing up to watch. It wouldn't happen without you guys.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it very much.
Yes, we do appreciate all of you in chat watching, and anyone watching the VOD. We appreciate you taking time to see what we do here, and we look forward to seeing you for some additional seeds. So, as Philion said, he is Philion, I am Cyclone, and I'm going to give Philion the final word. Have a good night, everyone.
The final word is pineapple.